Two media organizations teamed up to undertake a very noble duty to investigate, document, and report the incidents of human rights abuses that marred the Tanzania general election in 2020. But the devotion to do this investigation emanated from the rampant abuses that had been reported to have characterized the entire election process. Between June 2021 and April 2022, we embarked on the exercise that involved 32 monitors, and we came out with damning evidences that show how the Tanzania 2020 general election falls short of being called free and fair. The 2020 general election that happened can be mentioned as a shame to a country that has always portrayed itself as a beacon of peace and champion of democracy. When we took up this role, we wanted to address these issues, to uncover them and put them in the public space. There is enough evidence in this report to conclude that the over-deployment of security forces all along during the process of nomination of candidates, during campaign, during the voting day, and the results announcement sends a clear message that the 2020 general election was not about seeking public mandate. Instead, it sought to justify an already made decision by those in power to remain in office at all costs by abusing security forces. So many gross human rights violations were documented. One may understand the motive behind the government's decision to refuse both national and international election observers. It is therefore imperative to build and beef up the international coalition in dealing with circumstances like that of 2020 in order to bring to justice all perpetrators of human rights abuses, whether they're personal or the organizational state machinery capacity. It is our sincere hope that this report will be an eye-opener for that cause of action. And we call upon all Tanzanians to right the wrongs and set a new precedent now.
I'm impressed by the kind of recommendation the report came out with and the way the recommendations have been presented. For me, I believe media is an important player in generation, documentation, and the dissemination of information within the society. Media also plays the critical role in the promotion of social change, democratic processes, and the social accountability mechanism. If there is no media, then the society end up to be in darkness. And as a result, you cannot expect election to be free, fair, and credible. The media works as the watchdog. They become the oversight part of the election. Because of that, their role enhances accountability and transparency in the election. Also, during the election, media is part and parcel of checks and balance to ensure the conduct of every part enables the election to become free, fair, and credible. For media to be able to do that, it has to be independent, objective, and also media have to be really free of fear. Citizens expect the media to provide them with important information about voters registration, nomination of the candidates, campaigns, what are the campaign issues, who are the candidates from different parties, and then location of the polling stations, because if the citizens do not know where they are the polling stations, they might not be able to actually vote. They have also to provide information about during the polling day, what is happening during that specific and a very important day. And then the general media also has to provide the general public objective information about counting of the votes and the announcing of the winners. On the day of polling, social media were actually disabled. The Tanzanian Broadcast Corporation, compromised state media, became the only available channel of information about the election. This, in my view, was really denying the right of information, suppression of freedom of expression, and as a result, many irregularities happened during that election. Election was really not an election because it's like the Tanzanians were denied their right, the right to actually exercise their election kind of power. They were not able to follow what is happening. And as a result, at the end, it was like a chaos. And what we can see today is the kind of government of a single party in the context of multi-party democracy in Tanzania. But I believe, if media were free, objective, if the media were independent, if the social media were not interfered and disabled, the result of that election would have been very different today. So that is all I can say about this, and for this 10 minutes I've been given. Thank you very much.
When we're talking about democracy and human rights can be said to be the two coins, two sides of the same coin. So you cannot say you are democratic, but you are not observing human rights, and vice versa. Democracy is supposed to provide an environment that respects human rights and fundamental freedoms. As you might know, in a democracy, the free will of the people is exposed or is expressed. All people in a democracy has a say in decisions through their vote, and the vote is to put and hold to account decision makers. And also in a democracy, everyone has a right to vie for any post he wants or she wants. So that's why we're talking about freedom to be in a democratic processes, and also we talk about fairness to that undertaking. Human rights cannot be fully implemented, or they cannot thrive if the political and legal systems are not democratic. Every human being participating in the decision-making processes is supposed to be protected by human rights. Otherwise, it can be very, very difficult. Holding periodic and genuine elections by universal suffrage is an essential element of a democracy. This, we can say that these are the values which are embodied in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and developed in the Civil and Political Rights Covenant, where transparency, accountability are talked about during elections. So we have human rights bodies, like in Tanzania, we have the National Human Rights Commission, the Commission for Human Rights and Good Governance, but also this one, which is supposed to intervene when there are problems such as those. It didn't do what it was supposed to do. But also we have the African Commission for Human Rights, which I don't know if we did anything after that. Also we have the international one. All these instruments or bodies are supposed to intervene when things are not working. So what happened in 2020 in Tanzania would have expected the justice system to work, the human rights bodies to work, but they didn't do anything. So it became like it was an impunity, and impunity is not acceptable, as this might lead to chaos in the country, and we cannot claim to be a peaceful country while people are not free to participate in very crucial activities like elections, because the elections are so important because they help people to choose their leaders to ensure that their governance system is working. So when things are not well and it is left like that, it becomes very, very difficult. When wrongs are done, we cannot just sit and say that it is let bygones go. We have to follow up to ensure that these things do not happen again, because human rights are so important in our lives as human beings, but also democracy is so important because it guides us as we move in our daily lives.